Hello, people of YouTube. I am back. Um, so I've been inspired to make this video for a while. I did show off my record collection once, and I showed a lot of my records that I own that I like. But I've never done a top 20 list of my favorite bands of all time. So I thought I would do that today. It is hard to make a top 20 list. It's very hard. You have to cut some bands that you love out of the top 20, which is so I kept re-editing it. But this is my official top 20 list, and I hope you guys enjoy it and can recommend some new bands to me too, and connect with the bands that I already love. So yeah, number 20 is the Misfits. I got into punk about 4 years ago now. I always had a respect for it, but never really got into it. And I think this band and a couple others for getting me into there. My favorite holiday is Halloween, and the Misfits are the ultimate Halloween band in my opinion. They I would describe it as like they put like 1950s music into there with punk rock, and they make it their own thing. And I love playing them in Halloween time, and fall time. And I would say my favorite song by them is probably Saturday Night. That was a good one. They have any more pictures of them? Dig up their the bones is also really good. So, yep, that's my 20th. My 19th, I made a list right here. I might not remember all of it. Yep, my 19. Depeche Mode. Yeah, I always like same with punk. Like I always had a respect for like electronic and new wave music, but I never got into it until I heard this band, Depeche Mode. Yeah, they're just awesome, man. What can I say? They're of their time period. A lot of their music reminds me of the Stranger Things soundtrack, which I think is what Stranger Things was going for. Yeah, I love them. Um, yeah, they started out as like a very poppy band, but then as they went on, their sound got darker and more industrial, as they would say, and they are a major influence on Nine Inch Nails for sure. And I did go see a cover band at Woolies, which is a downtown bar, and I thought they did their sound very 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 well. I would love to see them in concert. My favorite album by them is Violator. That's right there. Yeah, it's a great one. And my favorite song by them, Policy of Truth. All right, number 18. Keeping with the punk sound, it's Joy Division. I think they're one of the most influential bands of all time for the indie rock scene. There's a great movie on them, Control, which is called Control, about this guy's life. Yeah, he had a lot of health conditions, depression, epilepsy, seizures on stage, but he channeled all that into the front man that he was. Um, his singing is very very heavy and dark. Their Unknown Pleasures is one of the most famous T-shirts of all time. I even have the T-shirt. Yeah, and I love them. I love them so much. Um, my favorite song by them. That's a tough one. I'm gonna say Transmission, and then I also really liked Atmosphere, which was in the first season of Stranger Things. By the way, I love Stranger Things. All right, number 17. is Deftones. Yeah, American alternative band from Sacramento, California. Man, how do I describe their sound? Um, their genres: alternative metal, art rock, experimental rock. Yes, they just give me very very good great vibes off their sound. They're kind of like Depeche Mode if they were heavier and screamed more. That's how I would describe them. I think. There they are. Yep, and I saw a cover band for them. And I'm friends with the lead singer of that cover band on Facebook, and he's a really cool guy. Um, but yeah, they started out in 1988, and White Pony is awesome. Oh, here's a clip of my favorite song by them, probably. Yep. So that is the Deftones. Number 16 is Nick Drake. All right, talk about a change of sound. Nick Drake was an English singer songwriter. He's very folky. He's very quiet. I just read his autobiography. At times it was very very sad because he never got the attention that he wanted, and he was frustrated with life in general. But yeah, his music is very peaceful, I would say. Um, but yeah, folk, chamber folk, folk pop. If they have a clip of his music, that'd be great. They don't. But yeah, they were there. He was an influence on a lot of people. Um, Musicians such as Kate Bush, Peter Buck of REM, Robert Smith of The Cure. Jeez, yeah, he's very very cool. I love his music. And my favorite album by him is probably Five Leaves Left. Picture of that one there. Yeah, I love that. Keeping with singer songwriter, my number 15 is Rodriguez. If you've ever seen Searching for Sugar Man, you know of his story. He was very, very unknown in the States. He only sold like a handful of records, like in Detroit where he lived for all of his life. And then notes for him for decades. He became extremely successful and influential in South Africa, where he is believed to have sold more records than Elvis. So he had zero idea about this for all his life, and then just imagine getting a phone call saying, "Hey, we've been looking for you for decades to play a concert," and that's exactly what he did. And yeah, he's very very awesome. I wish I could have seen him live before he passed. Um, but yeah, he did get more bland as his age went on. So that would have been maybe sad to see. I don't know. Yeah, glaucoma was going blind. And then he died last year. So I had a sad day when he died there. But yeah, I love him. So number 14 is Jethro Tull. Progressive band, folk band, whatever you call it. It's an awesome band. Ian Anderson, in my opinion, is one of the best frontmen of all time. Um, I think they influenced Iron Maiden. Certainly their later records, which got progressive and more folky. Um, my favorite album by them, that's a tough one. My favorite album by them is probably Songs from the Wood. Yeah, I love the folk rock sound in this. Yeah, right now, Salsa's Bells is like a Christmas song they did. But yeah, my favorite song by them in general. Hmm. Hmm. Probably a locomotive breath. I love that one. Number 14 is the Moody Blues. They were a progressive psychedelic rock band in the 60s. Their song Nights in White Satin is very, very popular with the hippies and the stoner crowd. Um, they might have an audio clip. Yep.
Nights in white satin, never reaching the end. Letters I've written.
Yeah, so that's Moody Blues. Uh, nice outfits there. Yeah, but they're very, very cool to listen to. I am a huge Pink Floyd fan, so obviously I love the Moody Blues as well. Um, Great to listen on a foggy, rainy day, anytime, anytime really. My favorite song by them is probably um, my favorite album by them is In Search of the Lost Chord. Very trippy album artwork there. Um, Man, they're just their songs are all so good. Um, Legend of a Mind is really good, and their yeah, what was that song called? On the ending of this album is also very, very awesome too. Number 12 is Canada's own Neil Young. Whatever you think about him nowadays, he might be like the angry grandpa type. I love his music. I've always loved his music. Um, Great to listen to in the fall, September. Obviously, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young is one of my favorite bands too. I kind of put them both together. Yeah, folk, rock, country. Um, he's been nicknamed the Godfather of grunge for his later albums that went more rocky ish. Um, what's that song called? Rockin' in the Free World. That is one of the most early grunge songs there was. Pearl Jam was an influence. Um, Pearl Jam was influenced by them a ton. Um, and my favorite album by him is probably Harvest. I gotta go with Harvest. Right there. And my favorite song by him is Cortez the Killer. Getting down to the top 10. Number 11 is Rush. No, another pride of Canada. Formed in Toronto with Alex Lifeson, Neil Peart, probably the best drummer of all time. Get the picture there. Yeah. They're a very mixed band. I've heard from other YouTube channels like they can't get into his voice. I think his voice fits their sound extremely well. I can't think of another singer for this band at all. Um, yeah, they're very very iconic with their sound. They were very psychedelic and proggy, especially on their middle albums like Hemispheres. For this one, this is probably one of the heaviest prog albums of all time. Space Rock, 2112. Um, their documentary was one of my favorite documentaries of all time. Their 80s sound, they went to like a more poppy, like reggae, not reggae, but like new wave kind of sound, which I enjoy. But I like the proggy spacier stuff a ton more. Um, Clockwork Angels. I have never listened to this album. I might have to do a reaction someday on that. So yeah, that is Rush. And my favorite song by them is 2112, the opening. Number 10. You're gonna be like, what? That's your number one band? That's your number 10 band? It was like, yeah, they are. They're awesome. All Them Witches, which is a pretty new band from Nashville, Tennessee. They're very heavy blues rock, stoner rock. Yeah, I saw these guys in live in Iowa City, like when they were starting out small, kind of, and they tore the absolute roof down of this dive bar that me and my dad went to. We just sat on these small tables. They were just shaking. It felt like they were going to explode about how big of a sound they have. Black Sabbath is obviously an influence for them. Um, and if you've ever seen KEXP on YouTube, check their live performances out because, yeah. The band's name was taken from a book of witchcraft from the Rosemary's Baby movie. So I think that's pretty cool. And my favorite song by them, ooh, Until It Unwinds on the debut album. Is my favorite song by them. Number 9. Come on. Oh, there they are. Rainbow. Obviously, Ronnie James Dio, really his first popular band that he was a part of. The absolute legend. Um, Richie Blackmore, one of the greatest guitar players of all time, in my humble opinion. And yeah, Rainbow is just an amazing band. They never really got the recognition they deserved in the States because Black Sabbath and Deep Purple were way more popular. But I think they're better than Deep Purple in my opinion. In my humble opinion. Um, yeah, Rainbow Rising. I love that album cover. If I can find um, Formation. Might have to search it. Yeah, look at that thing. I love it. I love that album cover so much. I wish I had a poster of that. It'd be great for Pride Month. Yeah, but yeah, the album is so Showpiece, the 8-minute epic Stargazer, which people say is a little on the nose with Cashmere from Led Zeppelin, which I agree with. But yeah, it's just as good as that song. So yeah, number 9 is Rainbow. Number 8 is a departure from the heavy stuff. It is Bon Iver. I used to say Bone Iver all the time, but yeah, this is kind of get into a heavy subject. I was semi suicidal back after my second breakup. Uh, I've never I never thought about doing anything, but I was super sad during that time. And this album, I think, has changed my life. Um, yeah, I love this album to death. Um, yeah, it's just think of Nick Drake, but like with more instruments. Yeah, I think the making of this album should be its own movie. It would be like the Inside Llewyn Davis movie that came out a few years back. Um, but yeah, uh, my favorite song by him has to be The Wolves on that debut album. The Wolves Part 1 and 2. All right, we're a different band here. Number 7 is The Doors. Yeah, what can be said more about Jim Morrison than there's been said? I love blues rock. I love psychedelic rock. So obviously they're in my brain all the time, in my head all the time. Um, yeah, that album cover right there. Um, and yep, they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993. The movie with some name is slipping my mind there now. Um, the movie, Legacy probably. Val Kilmer. Yeah, Val Kilmer played a great Van Morrison in the movie. Like almost too perfect in my opinion. But yeah, that's a great movie. If you want to know the history of the Doors, my favorite song by them is "Riders on the Storm." Getting down to number 1. Number 6 is the huge band known as Black Sabbath. Ozzy Osbourne. They made the first metal album ever made. Just an amazing band. Amazing. Um, yeah, their Ozzy albums and their Ronnie James Dio albums are some of the best produced metal albums ever made, in my humble opinion. Um, and if I would say if I like the Dio or Ozzy years, I don't like that question at all because I think both of them were just legendary in their own rights. Um, yeah, my favorite album by them is probably Heaven and Hell. That one right there. And my favorite song by them for the Dio years, it's Heaven and Hell, and for the Ozzy years, it is Children of the Grave. Number 5, Led Zeppelin. What can be more said about Led Zeppelin than there hasn't been? Blues and folk music, hard rock. They've done it all pretty much. Um, get the picture right there. That guy looks like he doesn't belong. But yeah, just incredible band. Kashmir, Black Dog, Rock and Roll, Stairway to Heaven. Play a little bit of that.
There's a lady who's sure all it glitters. If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alone there.
Yep. And my favorite song by them is. That's so hard. I like them all. Um, it's got to be Stairway to Heaven. I think about that song. That song is in my heart, man. Um, yeah, their folk music though. Yeah, Battle of Evermore, the Rain song. I love that stuff just as much as the heavy stuff. All right. Actually, have the list wrong. Yeah. Number 4 is the Dubliners from Ireland. My bucket list is to go to Dublin. That's the number one out of the country destination that I want to go to. Uh, Again, like I said, folk. Uh, Folk would not be as loved as it is if I never heard this band, if I didn't get into Luke Kelly and Ronnie Drew and all these guys. I would not have gotten into folk music. My love for them was just through the roof. Back in March, I saw the High Kings, and they did my favorite song by them of all time, which is "The Town I Love So Well." That's a great, deep song about growing up in Dublin and like during the war, just seeing the sad destruction that went on. Um, but he broke through for that for his love of his hometown. Basically, what that song's about. And yeah, I just said my favorite song by them. So, yep, they started out in the small little pub right there, O'Donoghue's. That's another picture of them without Luke Kelly. I'm gonna try and find a picture of Luke Kelly because he's incredible. That's more like it. People, my dad said he looked kind of like Bob Ross, which I kind of agree. Yeah. So yeah, and then along with that is I'm gonna put them both together because they're both Irish. Planksty. Planksty is an incredible band too. They're kind of like Jethro Tull in a way, and kind of like Led Zeppelin in their folkier roots. Very worth looking into this band as well. Um, Andy Irvine, I love this guy just as much as Luke Kelly. So yeah, that's number 4. Number 3, Pink Floyd. Number 3 is Pink Floyd. My dad's all-time favorite band, one of my all-time favorite bands. Last summer, I went to Brett Floyd, the cover band for them at Red Rocks, which was my first ever concert there, and it was incredible, just incredible. Again, what can be more said about this band than there hasn't been? Dark Side of the Moon, which we're here. Animals is my favorite album by them. Some people can't get into the album. I think it's the best, one of the best albums ever made. And my favorite song by them is Comfortably Numb with that outro solo. It's just peak, peak music. Number three. Number two is Nightwish. My number two band of all time is Nightwish. Finnish symphonic metal from Kiti, let's say. Looks like they're kind of small. Um, but yeah, their sound is otherworldly. Think fantasy, think Lord of the Rings, think Harry Potter, think all that. Yeah, I think the keyboardist Thomas said he's inspired by the soundtrack music, which is just amazing to me. And they put that into their music. It's called symphonic metal. Those were just like a mix of opera with metal, and their walk-in performance is one of the most reacted to videos on YouTube. Um, yes, and I can't wait for their new album. I just listened to their new song, which is incredible. And yeah, get a picture of them right there. Yeah, just a band I would love to see one day. They're on my bucket list to see for sure. Right there. Yeah. Man, that guy looks like a wizard, doesn't he? Gandalf. Um, play a little snippet of their sound. So you can hear the strings and all that. Um, yeah, just a beautiful band, man. I don't think they can do any wrong. Again, this new album, I have my hopes way high for it. So yeah, number two is Nightwish, and number one. Actually, I'm gonna get to my honorable mentions first. All right. So a few for my honorable mentions. I'm just gonna say them. Porcupine Tree, which is a progressive rock metal band from Steven Wilson, which I think he's a genius in music. Uh, Radiohead, along the same veins as Porcupine Tree, just what an incredible band, iconic band. Blue Oyster Cult, hard rock band, very very great band. Don't Fear the Reaper, burning for you, and Godzilla, and the great David Bowie. And my favorite song by him has to be Ziggy Stardust. All right, drum roll, please. My number one all time favorite band is Iron Maiden. Incredible band. I've always loved this band. Like I got into them when I was in the beginnings of middle school, and it's just rock music has never been the same to me since. Like I was into rock music like in grade school and stuff, but like my love of music started hearing this band. I got their greatest hits CD at Target one day. I just saw the robot Eddie with the pyramid, and I was like, Dad, I like this cover. We should get it. And he played it, and just my life hasn't been the same since. I've seen them twice in concert, one in Kansas City and one in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I hope I can see him for a third time. That'd be awesome. But yeah, my favorite Iron Maiden album is Somewhere in Time. Gotta find that right there. Yeah, just that their album covers are probably the best album covers of all time, in my opinion. Wasted Years, yes. Somewhere in Time. But my favorite song by them, mm, that is so tough. Um, I'm just gonna say their most epic song, which is Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. I'll get that album cover right there. And yeah, just if I can play a snippet of their music, I'm gonna play Concert every time. That picture right there. Got a Grammy awards, all the whole 9 yards. There it is. I saw them live during this tour, and yeah, just amazing. Bruce Dickinson. I wish I could talk with the guy in real life. I mean, I've seen him twice, but yeah, just amazing, amazing band. Always will be. When they retire, it will be a sad day. But yeah, guys, that is my number. That is my number one band. Plays Belly. Yeah, number one band of all time. 1982 stage set right there. Yeah, look at that. All right, guys. That might have been a little long. I don't know yet. I'll have to go back and see. But yes, that is my top 20 bands of all time. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Peace out.